There's already ice in the South Saskatchewan River here in Medicine Hat, but what else would you expect? It's sunny. We're here for the Continental Cup. She is a big reason the Europeans won last year's Cup. Annette Norberg took all 60 points in her skins game. Describe her game: Swede. It's that steely stare that you look for from Colleen Jones. When she has it, she is on her game. Who else would you want throwing the big shot when everything is on the line? Colleen Jones talking strategy possibly with North American captain Ed Lukowicz as she gets ready to take the ice in her 60-point skins game against Norberg. As we say hello, Canada, and welcome again to our fourth and final day of coverage of this year's Continental Cup from Medicine Hat. What a dramatic ending we had last night in the men's 40-point game. It was Mark Dacey against Sebastian Stock. It was a 23-point end.
Well, you know, Vic, he made some absolutely fantastic shots in this game. He really did. And they got all the carryovers. It comes down to this shot. Now, the problem with this shot, it maybe is makeable, but where do you put the broom? That was the hard part. He rolls out and 23 points out the window. I don't think he played the percentage there.
So when you consider that, had that gone to the Europeans, how tight it would have been going into this final day. But now it's a 44-point spread. As coming up now, it is the 60-point skins games, and it is Annette Norberg against Colleen Jones. This is the game that the captains wanted. And then tonight, we'll have at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 Pacific, Lindholm against Furby. I said Colleen Jones. If you want somebody throwing the big shot in the big game, it's her.
Well, it's the best team in the world. There's no question about that, Vic. She's never been that comfortable with the skins format, but she does one thing. This whole team, they win the right game at the right time. They'll be tough.
Well, Team Norberg, stars last year. They have the highest shooting percentage this week, male or female. Annette Norberg can make all the shots. They have to close the gap, so they have to duplicate the feat of last year where they shut out Sherry Madal.
And that's the key for the Europeans. Stay the same, close the gap, give Lindholm a chance. It's the women's 60-point skins game when we come back to the arena in the Hat on this Sunday morning.
The 2004 Continental Cup of Curling on TSN is brought to you in part by Robax Platinum, helping you walk away from back pain, and by Radio Shack, just around the corner.
Here at the arena, this 60-point women's skins game is the center of attention. It's in the center of the arena, home of the Medicine Hat Tigers. It's the first draw of the day. Let's read the ice now with Ray, brought to you by Robax Platinum.
Well, you can see by the numbers, there's lots of curl, and this is sheet B, the center sheet, so we don't expect any frost. And you must be careful when brushing. Don't jump them too quick. Now, the key to the skins format is to control this zone right in there. And don't go too early. Wait, be patient, set the rocks up, then make your move.
Remember who we are. This
Yes,
is our
right.
space. This is our
House.
thing.
Our
Place.
house.
Great.
Stay right.
Stay in the moment.
Hold
Lots
the
of
baby.
support.
What else do we need
focus.
here? Who are we choosing?
Who do you choose here?
Choosing us.
Good choice.
Really supportive. Let's have a great, perfect game in terms of all of that sort
Yeah,
of stuff.
and the
rest
details.
will come.
Yeah.
Focus.
Yeah.
And let's go win it.
Okay.
Have a good
Interesting
game. Have a good end.
conversation about the positive aspects of the game, Linda.
That's really the contribution, I believe, of their coach back home, their sports psychologist, Ken Bagnall. They're talking about staying in the moment, not thinking about outcome, just focusing on the details, the process of making shots. And that's a very good focus to step on the ice with, playing against a very hot Annette Norberg team.
60 total points. 44 points is the difference. Europe will play the red stones. That's Norberg. Jones, North America, the yellow. Norberg will have the hammer. So to get us going in this first end worth 4 points, this is Nancy Delahunt.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, Linda, how Colleen does approach this. So she's called for the first stone in the rings, top of the forefoot.
Oh.
You see how it's sliding. It's very, very quick.
14.
One thing we saw last year, Annette Norberg is not afraid of this skins format. She will put stones out in front, asking Anna for the corner guard. And they have played so well in the 2 team games. This team was just red hot, and not all simple shots. We saw in the opening to pick the double that Annette made. She's really made some tough ones, but also she's shown us the soft game. This game is really perfect for her.
Yeah, it's an interesting team. They've been together quite a while, and we've seen them make some major changes in their approach to the strategy of the game. They were very defensive at one time, as was Colleen in the early part of her career. But in the last couple of years, as you mentioned, Linda, she's been comfortable with the skins format, and she puts lots of rocks in play.
So skins play is different, but let's think back to Friday morning, day 2 of this year's Cup, and in that women's team game, Linda, Norberg was the winner.
She was, and really a dominating force. Colleen got something going, and then we saw that dramatic double, but really I thought the Norberg team controlled that game, Vic.
Yep. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Here's how the 60 points break down. We start playing for 4 points in the first and second, add to it by the time we get to the 8th, 13 points. But of course, if you don't win it, if you have the hammer, you don't score your deuce, or you don't steal, will carry over. So for example, with so many points in the line last night, of course, we had that 23-point 8th end that was stolen by Mark Dacey.
Yeah, we showed that in our opening, and it wasn't that the shot was probably there for Sebastian Stock, but it was a very difficult placement of the broom, as I mentioned, and I don't think it was the percentage he could go to a shootout, take his chances to outdraw Mark Dacey.
You have to get used to the format and remind yourself what you're trying to do out there in this skins play. To win the skin, if you have the hammer, you need 2 or more. Otherwise, you must steal. But don't forget that carryover. If you score 1 or blank, everything carries over. And that's the one that sometimes, Ray, you don't remember. You become the hero. You think every end you must score, must get the skin. But if you can carry it over and make a good shot or a good end, you can capture those points.
The other thing to consider too is they do have 64 minutes to play their games. We've seen, though, in a couple of the skins games, maybe teams not as familiar with it, they talk a lot. That could be a key, making your decisions, being decisive, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, it actually caught Sebastian Stock. He had very few seconds left to throw in his game, and it might have been a factor in his shot selection. So in these early ends, Vic, you can see that the skips are trying to get the broom down quickly because you want to save a bit of time for those last ends where all the points are at stake.
Pretty great numbers.
Some nice come-arounds and taps so far in this end. Europe with the hammer, trying to set up a deuce.
Ice is just perfect.
Just jams it, pushes it over. Jones Stone holds onto the back edge of the button and may be exposed, but just slightly
I think we have to come
behind
this
those
way now,
guards.
you guys. I'm fine with that.
Boy, that's in slight is it, isn't it? There's hardly anything showing.
I guess
Yeah, no, it's pretty well covered, Vic.
You could ignore it and draw the way we've been seeing. You could play the other turn and come to the top of the button, but they've elected to protect the other side.
Got more on the split there. I got less. Top 4, yep. All there. Hard line.
And as you look at your screen and you see the stones being played. The numbers 118 and 162 are the current totals for the respective teams in the race to 201. Get to 201, you win the cup. And all the points, these 4 points will go directly towards that total.
Nice shot.
That's a beautiful shot.
Gorgeous shot. She made 2 great shots.
And with that stone by Marianne in such a good spot, it's bailout time.
Catherine Lindahl.
Trying to get the red stone rolling a little bit. Very nice. With the hammer, you have to be careful if it gets too closed down out in front. The keys, in my opinion, with the hammer, you have to own the front of the house. Ray showed you the control zone. You need to get something in and leave yourself 2 ways to get into the button for the second point. Use other rocks, roll in, but bail out, as we just saw when your options close down. And I already mentioned, don't forget the carryover when things don't work. Try to get your single point.
Well, when it's over. No, you got line. Whoa, when it's over. Whoa. Over curling. Oh, whoa. All right, Kim.
Colleen trying to protect the guards a little long, but we know if you're trying to set up the steal, what you have to do, you have to kind of close down the front. You go for it every end. You have to be aggressive and set up with the leads and second stones, not going in too quickly, and then start moving and maneuvering and overlapping guards to protect your stones in the house. Now, there's only a single guard out in front. There may be a way to get by it, Ray.
Yeah, it's a long, long guard, so I think you can get over to the face of the stone, the top of the forefoot. Kim's rock curled a little too much.
Pretty nice shot.
Talai shot stone. Second is probably that yellow Jones stone back of the forefoot.
But she got everything moving. That was a great shot. Got the yellow stones behind the tee line, which is always key.
Kim Kelly.
Looking for a small roll. When you increase the weight even slightly, they run a lot straighter.
That was a good call by Colleen. It wasn't going to curl, so she played the double instead.
Yeah.
Nice little pocket set up now for the Norberg team.
Well, as I mentioned, the last shot was the real key for the Norberg team. They got the North American stones behind the tee line, freed up the space to get into the button area. They have a guard on the other side they can use later if they get into a little bit of trouble, but right now there's open access to the button.
Yeah, the stones in the rings are actually sitting, they favor Annette Norberg for sure. This is not a good shot, however. This is way too long. You need that same shot up on top of the forefoot.
You know, it doesn't hurt us to bump it back a little bit, you know, with that just back 8 weight.
Well, even if Colleen makes the shot, and she most likely will, the stones are still going to be in a position that Annette Norberg can take a little bit of a run at getting her deuce. She's got
What was that one for time?
all the rocks, as Linda mentioned, are in behind the tee line. So they really don't
like
work in
4.5.
Colleen's favor at all.
I'm playing at back 8 weight.
Got to look at Captain Ed Lukowicz.
Well, because
I'm sure the teams and the captains will be watching very carefully as those points at stake go up on the board, Vic, and so much at stake today as Europe tries to close the gap.
Up to this, so why not move it so that she can't eventually do a blast and
Okay. All right.
hang it on?
Fair enough.
It's 4.5 to the team.
Back 8.
Colleen Jones in her first
Tee action.
in an end worth 4 points. Annette Norberg with the hammer, needing to score the deuce.
know if she's a little light, but it's really curling.
Okay.
Yes, it sure is like this.
Well, as I mentioned, these stones are, you can see clearly that they're all in behind the tee line. So it's an opportunity for Annette to get around the stone here into the top of the 4-foot area, right there in front of the tee line. And if Colleen doesn't make a good shot, you may get a crack at a deuce. Exactly where she wants it. This is actually the situation that you want, you like. Stones are behind the tee line. If I make a good come around here to the top of the 4-foot, as long as I'm shot rock, Colleen now has to make a play on it or try and move it over or angle freeze on it.
And that's where the mindset change occurs in skins play. You can't be afraid to take the chance of just ignoring opponents' rocks. There's timing, of course, but if you can get in behind cover with your stone, you don't need to necessarily come to the face of their rocks. Just get yours in a better spot.
This is just too deep. If you take that stone and put it a foot further forward, Vic, now Colleen has to deal with it in the sense that she has to, do I move it? Do I try and punch it back? Or do I angle freeze on it? Now, where it is, Colleen can sit right on top of it. And if she makes a really good shot here, she could set up a steal.
Take the pin away.
They might have to use that red stone out in front to blast that rock off the button.
Yeah, you can be an inch, you know, in front of it so that she can't.
Curious that both Lund with her last one and, in fact, Norberg with her first one, Linda, would be heavy, whereas the Jones team seems to have adapted to whatever the ice condition is early much sooner.
Well, everybody's actually had a little bit of an off. Colleen's over curled, and I don't know if that was just this spot of ice is a little slick and also a little swingy. I haven't quite figured it out yet.
No, we're not even on it yet. Only if you need
Colleen got this outside a little bit. It's her out turn. She loves to play the out turn. You can see how it slides.
Well, there is a little separation.
And I think a nose hit gets you two.
Oh, you were doing this. Looks like she could pound it.
Touch that stone. Nancy, touch it. So it was there.
You hit this on the nose like that. It'll drive this stone here onto this, and it'll stay, and the shooter will be right about there. This obviously is going to go, and you could score two.
And that's what you want to do with the hammer in skins play. Score two for the points. 4 points at stake.
And Colleen Stone ended up making that sandwich I talk about where Vic, the filling, the red stone in the middle won't go. The bread, those two yellows on the outside will. And that's why you have to be careful when you have a series of stones frozen or near each other.
I love the way she transfers her weight back to her back foot. Gives herself a little spring that we talk about, Linda.
Annette Norberg, final stone, looking for the two here in the first.
She's playing it very
Yeah,
quietly.
I'm surprised at this weight.
Bergstrom, Linda, late brush, cross the face just a bit, and sit in time, and it will for the deuce
Great shot.
to pick up the first skins. So Europe cuts into the lead. We're early. It's the women's 60-point skins game. Next weekend, Bathurst, New Brunswick, $150,000 in total prize money. What a field it is. Great shots, great players, Kevin Martin, Wayne Madaw, Glenn Howard, and the reigning Canadian champion, Mark Dacey. Four of the very best when the money's on the line. When they're playing for the skins, it's the McCain TSN Skins Game. Next Saturday and Sunday from Bathurst, New Brunswick, $150,000 available. Annette Norberg picks up the first skin here, 4 points. So now it's down to a 40-point North American lead, and we're playing for another 4 points here in the second.
It's hard to be critical about Colleen Jones. She's won so many championships, but she has to be careful with this format. In the last in my opinion, she should have drawn maybe top of the forefoot, not frozen. And in this end, there was a rock. Yes, it was half in, and if you hit it, your guard cannot be removed. But the concept is to try and leave some rocks in play and set up some stones. And you can win with a little more conventional approach, but you have to be careful.
This rock cannot be hit. Well, we talk about the skins all the time. I think next week you will see 4 of the best teams in the world at playing that format. So you can see how they really do struggle hard, control that area just outside the rings, and they will be patient. They don't jump in right away. They keep. They try so hard to set up angles and utilize the run backs they're so good at. That's all you see on so many. That's why you see so many spectacular shots. Like this shot could be played short as well.
Yeah, it could. Goes forever.
And it broke your golden rule, Linda.
Yeah, it's a little deep and a little early. And what I was talking about, hitting that red stone out in front, we talk about owning the control zone. So you may think, well, what am I talking about? Not saying that you don't put a rock near it, even tuck it a tiny bit behind if it's a longer guard, but you can use opponents' rocks. My old saying, opponents' rocks can be your friends in skins format.
That is your old saying.
It is. It's pretty old by now, isn't it?
We just won't talk about how old you are. That's all.
Right.
Old saying, old person.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice scrub by Lund and Bergstrom.
Just deep.
Yeah, equally critical to the Norberg team. You don't need that back there. You're trying to aim for the top of the 8-foot.
Well, they brushed hard to get it by. They didn't want to rub the guard, but rubbing the guard wouldn't be all that bad either. Marianne made 2 great shots. Last end, she's got a chance to get around here,
Back to it.
top of the forefoot.
Back to the back one.
This ice is terrific. It's got 3.5 to 4 feet of curl.
Line. Lots of room.
Tim Yo and his crew have done a great job. This is just too much weight, that's all.
And they're struggling a little bit with the speed, and it is a bit faster, not than we've seen, but let's talk about those ice times measuring between the hog lines. We see the hits are 9 seconds, hack weight 11.5. Remember, it's like a scale. You can play along between those hog lines. Draw weight 14 to 14.5 seconds, and the tight guard is 15.5 seconds. And the brushers in this kind of ice condition can drag the stone a long way. So when you're playing along and you've got your little stopwatch at home and you're seeing a 14.5 to 15-second draw, that's the kind of stone you've handed to the brushers who can then take it into the top of the house.
Kathy Gauthier is with us as well today. Hello, Kathy.
Hello, Vic. One of the things I'd like to build on what Ray said is about how hard Tim Yo and his crew have worked on the ice conditions. What he said to me this morning is he was a little concerned because we hadn't used sheet B at all yesterday other than the singles. So when Colleen practiced yesterday, when Annette Norberg practiced yesterday, and David Nedowin, they all threw on sheet B, and they also threw some rocks last night, trying to ensure that the conditions were consistent with what the curlers threw at earlier in the week when they said the conditions were at their best.
Nice come around by Lindahl.
Great come around, and top of the 4-foot, middle of the 8-foot, perfect spot.
The run back, then the shooter rolls over, doesn't sit right there, so the center line is open. Although that stagger now might not be very good for Colleen Jones.
De är ju laddade
så det blir inte så bra det heller.
En front då?
Va?
En front då?
Ja, jag tror nästan det. Nära framför.
That's a good call.
I really like the way the team thinks. A lot of people would say, well, you have yellow stones at the back of the house that belong to the opponent. Annette, maybe you should go play a takeout. She first talked about drawing around the corner guards, and then the call comes back for the center line guard. And this is the mindset change. You don't have to remove opponents' rocks. In this case, Europe is going for the steal, so front stones are to your benefit.
Nära skåren.
Watch this good and tight though to the rings. You don't want it too long.
Nästan in.
You can obviously use it if you have to.
Stanna lite då. Hänger.
Smash that back too, really. You wanted to try to hit the back one. I don't mind ripping that.
Sure?
For a first shot.
Pardon me? Yeah.
Do you want to try to catch the back red one, Colleen?
Well, Nance, I'm afraid it'll only jam back there, so just a straight hit and roll.
Make a shot, yeah.
What you don't want to do is leave your shooter right there. That's,
Yep. Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
I don't want to leave it there for her to draw around. Yep. Yep. Yep.
you don't want to leave the shooter there.
Remembering your keys, Linda, that stone where that shooter just rolled to, just outside the 12-foot, is possible way in if you ever need it. Is that right?
It is. In this case, there's not a lot of clutter, Vic, so they won't be probably relying on it, but you never know. You always take every stone to its best location in case you can use it later.
Ta den ner emot då i så fall.
You don't want this in too deep in the open because that allows Colleen to play
Stoppa ner den emot.
a hit and roll in behind those corner guards. If you get this in too far,
Kom igen.
this gives Colleen a chance to play the hit and roll now.
Jag är ledsen.
She could also freeze on top of it or tap it back just slightly.
Yeah.
Same as what I just did.
She said
The hardest part, I think, is for everyone is to continue to remind yourself it's just one end. It's one end. The total score in this end is not important. We're going to either get two if we have the hammer or steal one.
Hurry, 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 hurry.
Jammed it.
Klippen.
And by past performance, you can see why the respective captains have selected them to play in this game, Linda.
Well, both of them, Annette and Colleen, have brought back their teams. 2 years ago, it was Colleen Jones. North America trailed, and Colleen in the 60-point game won 41 points. And we also remember last year, Annette Norberg shut out Sherry Madaw and brought her team back. So both of them have made the big shots over the 2 years of the Continental Cup.
Ska vi inte hellre spela den då?
And that's why the captains put them in this game.
In that year that Colleen came back, she made that great draw to the button against Elizabeth Gustafson, and that set up Kevin Martin for the next game and allowed him to go on and win.
4 points at stake in this second, and it is Colleen Jones needing to score 2. Lies 1 in the open, edge of the button, T-line. First stone now, Annette Norberg.
Den ligger långt ut. Nej, den ligger jättelångt ut. Bra. Bra. Japp. Japp.
She was a little bit wide.
Boy, that's advantage North America now.
It's the one thing you can't do with that weight is put it outside at all. She did.
Gotta put one top 4.
Sold out crowd, sold out arena here in Medicine Hat for the all 4 days. Congratulations to everyone, the organizing committee, some 300 volunteers for the most successful of the 3 Continental Cups.
Nancy won't mind if you have a sip. I'm sure she's sick. Oh, right.
This is definitely showing its true colors this
speed.
way.
Yeah, it's the real keen stuff.
It's fast.
Here's that look you were talking about, Vic.
Absolutely.
Great powers of concentration Colleen has.
Bull 8.
Should be. Looks steep to me.
Bull 8.
Whoa. Lots, got lots.
No, 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 no.
Stop.
Bull 8.
No, 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 it's all there.
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
Sit.
That's a good shot,
Good shot.
Colleen.
Yes, it is.
You know, I thought later, with that one at the back of the button.
Going around one.
Inside, you know, make
Tough.
her make.
Well, I know.
Anyway, I like it tight like that. I really do.
So what do you do with your last one if you're Norberg? You're facing 4 and you...
Yeah, you're
I think you have to make the double and try and get a bit of a
Om jag
roll.
spelar en hård sten så får jag dubbeln här.
Det är svårare att kontrollera vicken på en hårdsten, tänker jag.
Okej, vill du spela hackfart då? Ja, för jag vill ju inte vicka helt bakom här. Det är ju laddat, jag vill ju ligga så att jag visar. Ja.
Jag ska sätta bort visa tid på den här skillen som ändå kör. Ja, jag spelar en hård då. Ska vi göra?
Halvvisa här. Dubbla dem.
Jag trodde man kanske kunde slå på den där på kanten. Tangering och träff, men det kanske var lite tufft. Vad ska jag för fart då? 4.
She had a great chance with her first shot to lie 2 and put it outside. Now she's got a very tough shot to make here. She needs a little bit of a roll. She needs to make the double.
Bergstrom, Lindahl, Lund calling the line. She's going to get the roll. She makes the double, tucks a piece behind, but it's almost just a half a stone still showing.
It's almost the best she could do. You know, she would have loved to roll just a few more inches. About the best she could do. So a great chance here for Colleen to pick up her deuce, which would give her the 4 points.
And doesn't need to stay. She can just pick it out. She's got the 2 at the back of the 8-foot.
Rolls about 2 more inches or 3 more inches. It makes it a much more difficult shot.
Yeah, it was a great throw. Her first one, it was not her typical throw. The second one was a great one. Just needed to curl a little more. She didn't really need to even take the second one out. Needed to just chip it over a little bit. So it was almost perfect.
Needing the 2 points
Long way to
to
come.
win the skin.
She really threw it
4.
hard.
It's got to come over. Got to move now. Catch a corner of it. Get something.
I'm really surprised she threw it that hard, and I don't know about you, but that was she.
Norberg will steal the 4. Last year's women's skins was all North America in the first 2 games, with Debbie McCormick and Colleen Jones scoring 46 of a possible 70 points. But in the matchup that turned the event in Europe's favor, Annette Norberg took all 60 points in a shutout win over Sherry Maddaw in the A game, giving Europe an 84-46 edge in women's skins. And Norberg is off to a quick start here. She scored the first skin with the hammer and now has stolen 4 more points as we go to the 3rd end of play, and it's worth 6.
That call by Colleen is the call that I for the skins format that I don't agree with at all. There's the long guard out in front, and if you put the rock just 6 or 7 inches short of the rings on the center line in the control zone, you really force Annette to make another clear decision on what she's going to do. This allows Annette to play the hit, the quiet tap back and hit, and it's more of the conventional game that we see. You gotta play the skins format, and once again, percentages are a factor.
I agree with you, Ray, and I think you've got in Nancy Delahunt someone who so often places the stone exactly where you want it. If you want a tight guard instead of a long guard, fine. She's very good at making all the shots, so you've got the players to do it. It's clear they've come with a plan, Colleen, and that's to keep it a little more open. It might be the lack of comfort with the format, but at some point, with all these points at stake, I think she's going to have to close it down and really go for it.
Well, the best example is the one we used yesterday when we talked about there was a situation with Marie-France LaRouche playing Jordy Nordby, where Marie-France scored a 7-ender to win the 6 points. Because it was only one end to get the 6 points.
Once again in this end, it'll be Jones looking to score the 2 for the skin.
Try again.
The Advanced Wellness Center.
Good. Wait on me.
That's where
Room.
Marianne works. Can we go back to that
Mine's getting
final
better.
stone for Colleen just a minute?
Mine's getting real good here.
Just briefly.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Hard cornered if you can. Hard.
Too hard. Just do it too hard.
I was going to say either that or you take less ice. I mean, was the shot the right shot to play? Do you play it quietly, or I mean, question anything about that?
Well, I don't play it with that weight. I play. You didn't have to stick, as Linda pointed out.
Right.
But that's as hard as you'll ever see. I mean, Colleen buzzed that down there, and you heard them say in the break, just threw too much weight. That's all. If you're going to throw that weight, you got to take the edge of the stone almost.
So it's now a 36-point gap. And we'll go back to what we said earlier, Linda, about what Norberg's effort is in this game, is to stay close, chip into it if you can, reduce the margin to give Pia Lindholm a chance against Randy Berger.
She has to win enough points, as we see that one lost its turn.
Changed handle.
But she has to get enough points, Vic, to make it possible even this afternoon, later tonight, for Lindholm to have the victory.
Let's go. It's tough to get in there.
Well, let's sit 2 and 3 with the bang bang.
What about this here?
But Colleen, we can access the yellow onto the red now.
I know, but that's not going to get us anywhere.
We're sitting 2 and 3.
Well, how are we going to get rid of that one?
You can get that out.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Do it now, though.
What do you want to throw, a board?
Okay.
Yellow onto red, trying to spin it across.
More than board.
What was Colleen's thought there, Linda, about going to the other side and taking out the first shot stone?
She's concerned about getting at it, but the team say, excuse me, you can get at it later. I like the call. Again, that was a lot of weight to get a little curl past the guard to make contact with the yellow, but the theory with Marianne's shot was set up the second one and the third one in this case, but that was one of the keys I mentioned with the hammer. Get the second one in there, Vic, and then you've got some time to worry about getting at shot stone or getting at the 4-foot.
By raising that yellow back, you heard them say they could lie 2 and 3, and that's what you want to be doing, putting the rocks in positions to try and use them later.
This is a tricky spot. We've already seen the ice is quick. With draws, it really moves. You up the weight, it's really straight. So you have to take in a lot of factors every time you put down the broom.
5. Bra. 95, 4-0.
Ja, det räcker inte.
Hit and roll here.
And that last redstone really overcurled the spot. If the hit and roll is made, the little meth out in front doesn't help Annette.
Regular.
Close, yeah. Yep. Hurry! Hurry! Hurry, 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 hurry!
Well, that's back-to-back misses now.
Vi måste nästan försöka köra bort den med en hackfart.
Ja, eller dra på den sidan.
Ja, då har de ju bara mata på den där sen.
Alltså, ja, visst. Men...
Vill du hellre det?
Ja.
I like the call. They talked about hitting the yellow one, and it's partly open, but I quite like this. Just trying to tap something up, leave the shooter in place in case Colleen gets something in behind.
I don't like where the yellow one is, though. I agree with getting in behind is great, but that yellow stone is in a good spot for Colleen to use. You have the end going your way a little bit.
Boy, both skips are getting caught with this ice. It's really curling.
Pushes that Jones stone now out into the open. Jones needs to score 2.
Or hack, I guess. Play the over curl here on the out-turn side.
How about back line so that we can use
Back line?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, girls?
Sure.
I'm making it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Okay.
It is shot stone,
That
the yellow.
is shot. Okay, straight draw, out turn.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point.
Let's go, skipper. Sorry. Sorry.
No problem.
Slow, girl, slow. Line's fine.
Callahunt and Arsenault pick it up almost immediately.
Every bit, every bit, every bit.
Line 1.
Every bit, every bit, every bit, every bit helps. Every bit.
Good, Kim.
Sorry, girl.
Great line.
Just to the top
We
12.
got line on that side.
Oh my God, we're back in.
Line, no weight.
Struggling with that combination. I already mentioned the spot's a little tricky for line, but that was the perfect line if it had had the weight.
Yeah, she had great line for sure. Just needs another
Lite uppstuds.
4 or 5 feet of weight. This is now a terrific opportunity for the Swedish skip to get the hit and little roll in behind. Colleen's going to be looking at a very unhappy house.
That's right.
Compared to a happy house.
You thought I'd forgotten that.
No, he will be happy for the red stones and not the yellow.
You weren't with us yesterday. Linda was using the happy house.
Well, I had enough old sayings. I have to come up with a
Some
few new ones.
Yeah.
Ja! Nej! Ja! Nej! Nej!
Wants a little roll.
Nej! Nej! Anna?
How about that?
That's great.
Anna!
Well, as you said, if you're going to throw this kind of weight, you put the brush down right beside the stone.
Yeah, she just drew it too hard, and she took too much ice for that weight, obviously. You didn't have to stay, but I don't think she meant to throw that kind of weight.
No, not at all.
And that gave the steal of the 4 points to the Europeans and Annette Norberg. 6 points on the line here, and Colleen finds herself in some trouble as the Europeans are lying 4.
And the one good thing about Colleen, though, I mean, we took a look at that shot she missed, and then she is the very best at putting a missed shot, a bad end, a bad game behind her, regrouping.
And the spot she's in this end, is by execution, problems by her team. They had opportunities to get into this spot earlier when it wasn't so messy, and there was misses, so she's got to try and save it.
No, but we can play it to get curl. Whoa! 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 Okay, right back, Marianne. Whoa, Nance!
No,
Whoa!
want to be shot.
And they are shot back. All right, miscommunication there. Would they have preferred to have the little rub? Would they have liked to rub that
Yes,
Yellowstone?
if you could feather it and get a little bit of movement plus some of the speed taken off, it would have been perfect. It's not an easy call, but it would have been perfect.
And it's called, what do we call that little rub?
Oh, in German, a kleiner rub.
Kleiner rub.
That was the new saying from yesterday as well.
Kleiner rub.
A kleiner rub.
You know what? It moved nice in the first end, and now it's that third end straighten out.
For Annette, she just needs to pick this out. She doesn't want to leave anything at the back of the forefoot.
This is where she's strongest.
Green lights on the handle of the stone means it's a clean throw.
She's got tremendous mechanics. She sets up well, good strong grip, and she transfers the weight. She does have beautiful mechanics.
So Colleen Jones will face 4. With her last one, needs a piece of the forefoot to force a carryover. You see the skin at stake is 6. If she makes her shot, we'll take that, carry it over, and we'll end up playing for 12 points in the 4th. But first things first, you got to have the forefoot.
Where? Good. 4. What?
Well, right away, the brushers like it.
Off. Right off.
Kim Kelly on the left. Marianne
Right
Arsenault thought the weight was all right.
A little. Tell us when we can go.
Needs to break, though. Right now, it's crashing.
We go now if you have to.
We're good.
Needs to break.
We're good.
Find the hole.
Looks pretty good.
Get it by. There's the 8. If you got the 4, better still, you're going to have the button for the carryover.
Carryover, yeah. You really do have to throw almost a 4.
Next week, curling skins. Today, golf skins from La Quinta, Palm Springs. And I think Adam Scott was the only one to win money yesterday, $50,000. It's an enormous carryover, something like 200. They'll be playing for $300,000 on the first hole. Annika Sorenstam and Couples and Woods.
You'd have no problem making that putt, though, Vic. Standing over that putt for a little bit of cash.
Well, all of Palm Springs would be shaking standing over that putt. So it's a 12-point skin available here in the 4th as we carry over. And it will be the Europeans playing the Redstones. Annette Norberg will look to score the 2. Colleen Jones will try and steal.
Playing another front stone. Colleen's playing another one out front.
I do find it interesting when the corner guard is played by the team with the hammer, because generally speaking, we see very little play behind it. Normally, when the center guard goes up first, the Redstone that was played by Europe would go near it if you want another guard. So we'll see if it comes into play.
Well, between the ends, Captain Ed Lukowicz had another chat with Colleen and the team. Kathy?
Ed, comments on this morning's game off to a bit of a struggle.
Well, it certainly is worry time for us, although we have a lead. We look back to last year where Sherry Madal lost 60 points in a row to this Norberg team, and Norberg is pitching a shutout so far against Colleen, and it was really a big shot in that second end where Colleen missed the chance to finally get on the board, you know, and break that string. And it was pretty much a wide open take. What you see about 2/3 of it, I would think, and it just overthrew it, and it just ran straight on it.
I saw you go down and talk to the team at the break. What were your words of advice?
Well, we really just discussed the ice. The outturn going away is starting to straighten up a little bit. This ice has a little, you got to throw a little bit more weight going away from the home end, and it's slick coming back. So we just really talked talk about ice conditions, and then you know that we got to get the charge going. We got to get some points on the board.
Good luck, Ed.
Great, thank you.
You know, Ray, this is unlike we've seen when the curlers are playing for money. The longer you don't have anything in your pocket, whether it be points or money, the pressure builds.
Yeah, the only thing you can do to that helps you with that is when you're going down the ice, you walk down backwards because you don't want to be looking at the scoreboard. Yeah, you're right, Beck. We've seen over the years, you know, all of a sudden you didn't get the first game, you don't get the third, you don't get the fourth, and all of a sudden the pressure just builds and builds and builds.
Yeah, I think this is
Don't touch it.
maybe the overly simple, Linda, but this I think is a key end for Jones.
No, it definitely is. They haven't been very decisive. They haven't been very clear about what they want to do with this skins format. And Colleen made that beautiful shot last end to carry over. So what a great time for her to try and go for it here and get the skin.
And the other thing I think about Colleen, I think she's more comfortable in the steal position than in the trying to generate the deuce position.
I do too, because I think your mind more easily goes to putting up guards and playing come around.
Very nice. Again, the brush by Bergstrom and Lund.
It's nice curling. That's all that is.
I don't know whether it's by design, but certainly we've got more stones in front, Linda.
Yeah, I think, as we said, Colleen, when she's in the steal position, puts up the two center line guards. No matter what happens with the red stones, as long as there's a way for Colleen to get in behind those guards, she's got a chance for the steal. Marianne's making a lot of shots. It would be a great roll if she can get it.
There is the roll, and look at her just bury it behind the tight center guard.
Nice shot.
This is a very nice hit and roll. Marianne's also made a beautiful come around in this game, so it looks like she's really here to play today. All she leaves is the run back double attempt.
Catherine Lindahl. Got it. And the exchange of stones, leaving the shooter there to be used.
Boy, she threw those two stones first just so well.
I have to say that this Norberg team, the entire Continental Cup, have played very well. Their execution has been superb. All kinds of shots, including that kind of difficult run-back double.
Kim Kelly.
I'm not saying anything.
Did that pick something? I think that must have picked something.
No suggestion from Colleen Jones.
Well, it really moved over.
You have to be a little careful. Colleen was talking about the ice changing and the curl going out of it a bit. It happens, but it doesn't happen across the sheet. So you can't get into your mind that every place will have the same amount of curl for a hit, for example. That one could have just curled. Fairly fresh pebble, maybe, Ray. We haven't seen that spot before.
We haven't been on that side of the sheet. It's a good point.
Eva Lund, former world junior champion from 1991.
One thing you notice that this European team, these four young ladies from Sweden, have been keeping all their stones in front of that tee line. They haven't made a lot of mistakes. And a nice come around by Eva.
No, you don't. Careful.
Quick check of the watch.
You got room.
Ella Hunt, Arsenault.
No bomb. We're close. Careful. You got line. Whoa. Whoa. Right here. No.
Just
right
trying to
here.
draw to the face of it,
Just there.
close
Whoa.
down the
Just here.
scoring area,
Whoa.
set something up you can use.
Great shot, Kim. I'm not sure Kim should throw the 3 block. Okay, you know, she's had 2 hits and curled really
Oh, that's a
hard
good
on her.
point. Talking about one of Kim's stones maybe being not matched with the other and curling more. That was the one that the hit this end over curled.
I heard Nancy go, we have to go hard. No, you don't.
Where is Avalon going with this one?
In the guard.
Vic, they have to protect against that Yellowstone being tapped up. At the moment, there is a red guard out in front that Annette could use. She needs to get a second one in there, but they have to protect for the moment.
Just block something over here.
Yeah.
Even if we can just tuck it to, you know. Yeah. What? And the out turn? Yeah. No. No? Okay.
I heard her talk about trying to
Not a
tuck
friendly
something.
one. Just wondering.
Just, yeah, with the length of the yellow one. You think.
Just behind this one.
But it might not get by the yellow.
Take away this raise that on the stone here. That,
Kim, we're going to give away
Annette
your
could
3
use.
rock. Whoever, we're going to give away your 3 rock. That was a good throw, and it's curled hard on 2 hits. 2 of them. I know, I agree. I don't get it.
Yes, it did curl hard on the intern hit going the other way, and it curled hard
Okay,
there
I want
on
to
that
be
out
full
turn.
8 over here to try to chip it in.
So it's a good point Colin makes. Could be the stone.
Full 8? Full 8. 4, 2 of them?
Usually by this time in an event, you have a pretty good read on the numbers because you do play a lot of the sheets, and they keep track of ones that cut more, ones that run a little straighter.
Where? Line's fine. Just
First of the skip stones in this fourth worth 12 points. Colleen Jones.
Yep. Hard line. Hurry. Hurry. Hard. Hard.
Just a little rub, huh?
Sit beside it, right?
That allows hit and roll now for Annette to get her second point in there. That's the worst thing that could have happened.
Was the weight about right? Time right?
Yeah, no, the weight was great.
Get the roll over here.
Ja, 10. Sopa dit dem.
David Nedewin, he'll be on the ice with Randy Furby against Pea Lindholm when we join you again 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's for the men's 60-point skins game.
Now you've got to get a roll someplace. The roll in behind is perfect. You cannot sit there, otherwise you'll allow Colleen a shot at the double.
Lindahl, Bergstrom backing off. Lund with the line call. Gets a little bit of a roll.
Just enough.
I think she might have been a little outside the broom, and that one seemed to curl up as well, Ray. I thought she might just stay right on that spot. So it looks like at the moment it does curl on that side of the sheet.
She got just enough so that Colleen can't get to the inside to make the double.
Going to be playing this wide in turn here, right?
Yeah. Or a bump up nest. True.
So you could guard the bump end.
There's this.
Yeah, can you guard both of those?
Guard looks.
It's a high guard. Guard them both.
High guard. Yeah.
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 There's a look at it. She needed to roll a little bit more to be second shot.
You guard it. I don't know that she can get in there. High guard. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want it tighter. She'll tap
Great
it
weight
back.
on your first one.
Yellow on the red.
So with one stone trying to take 2 shots away possibly here?
Yeah. Yes, Vic, she's trying to guard both raises. Now, you have to be a little careful if it's very high and if there is curl, which we think there is in this spot, it would be possible for Annette to get by it. She doesn't have to move the rock in the 8-foot far for it to be second shot.
I think that she still has a little bit of an in-turn draw on the other side. It'll be very,
Yeah, she
very
does.
tight, but I think she would have a shot at just catching the edge of the forefoot.
Final stone for Colleen Jones. Looking to hold the Europeans in Norberg
Can we corner? Careful the
to
line
a
on
single,
that.
and then we'll carry
Careful
over
the line
again.
on- Do we want to bump it a little? No.
I don't know how much weight is
Maybe a little bump helps, you think?
fine.
Okay.
We should get the angle
Wow.
raised now.
That
throw
ever
there?
glide? That was like
Yeah, second rock down, eh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Blaze the trail.
Jinx on the bump, jinx on the bump, jinx on the bump.
Lite till kanske.
Got the raise on this shot right here.
Has to get it to just catch the 4 for the 2 points. That will give Europe 12 more.
Pretty steady hand for Sunday morning, don't you think,
Yes.
Victor? Sunday morning coming down.
The fact that you used both hands, we won't tell everybody. Braced by Wood.
It's a lot of ice here, but it
I
has
thought
been
it was a lot of ice.
Yeah, but
Here we go.
definitely curls here, I think.
Lindahl on the left, Bergstrom on the right. Waiting for it to break. Push it back and catch the 4. Push it back, catch the 4, spill off. And she did not. We're going to carry over again. So we'll take the 12. We'll go to the break, and when we come back, we'll add 7. 19 points in the 5th.
Okay, gang, one break to win. We gotta be walking up there, so we need one break to
Captain
win.
Ed Lipowicz, co-captain Jim Waite meeting with Colleen Jones and her team as we're in the 4th end break. And it's the Europeans with a slight edge in this game and a big skin of 19 points available as the gap is now down to a North American 36-point lead. So Catherine Norberg doing what she hoped to do. And with John Denver being played here, this game ain't nothing but a funny, funny riddle. We're in Medicine Hat. Thea Lindholm, reigning world champion. Randy Ferbey, 5 Canadian titles, former world champion. That'll be the men's matchup for 60 points, and we join you again 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific from here in Medicine Hat. David Nedewin is here and watching, and he's with Kathy.
David, you come into the building this morning, last year almost insurmountable. Today, things not going well. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if it's not going well. I mean, there's 19 points on the board, and only 8 have been scored so far. So this game has a long way to go. I mean, there's a pile of points out there, and really, even whoever wins this 19 points isn't necessarily going to have a commanding lead by any stretch of the imagination, considering how heavily the ends are weighted at the end. So, I'm sure Colleen will go out and get a few skins and keep us in a comfortable lead going into the final game. And we're just going out there and wanting to make sure that we beat Paya, and however it turns out in this game, we're not going to be too concerned with.
Talk to us about the Continental Cup. You've played in some really big events. What does this mean to you as a Canadian and North American?
Well, this is really fabulous. There's not another event in the world that's similar to this from a pure entertainment and stress point of view. I mean, you're here trying to do your best for not only your team, but the other 5 teams that are part of Team North America. And it's a really special feeling to have everybody on the boards cheering you on. So, I mean, the biggest thing for us is to win for our side, our continent here, and that's really our main focus.
Good luck tonight, David.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the unique thing about this, and we wondered when it began, of course, a number of years ago, back in 2002 in Regina, how the teams would react, because they're out there every week beating on each other on both the men's and women's gold trails, but here they come together. So we have a lot still at stake, as David just mentioned. In this 5th, we've carried over now 2 ends. We're playing for 19, and then you can see, as he suggests, They get more heavily weighted towards the end, still 52 points available, but the gap is down to 36. And in this fifth, it is the Europeans, Norberg, who will look to steal. Colleen Jones,
86.
Team North America, playing the Yellowstones, needs to score 2 to pick up all those points.
In the last end, Annette Norberg was a fraction of an inch off making that perfect raise. When you think of how little difference you have to have on that raised stone to completely change the angle into the house, it was so close.
Yeah, she threw 2 great shots. Her first one too, Linda. I mean, she rolls another 2 or 3 inches. She's second shot rock, and it's buried behind that guard, and Colleen's in big time trouble.
Yeah.
And that raise was so close. It just had to come a little bit more. We thought when she put the broom down that she'd taken more ice than we had expected. It did make a move, but she had taken a lot of ice. She threw the perfect weight.
Hurry! Hurry! Hard! Right up! Hurry! Hard! Okay, wait a
Kelly and
minute.
Arsenault,
Whoa!
and it'll crash.
Right in. Whoa, whoa.
Good. I guess I could do that. Giving orders. That's all right, Nance.
Not all bad. It rolled into the rings.
It was a good plan B, and Nancy was trying to get it by, but Colleen's right. You should chip it over as far as you can, get Annette Stone exposed a little bit, and roll into the house, and that one could be a factor later.
Knock your head up.
Head up.
Head up.
Linda, going back to what you said earlier about Colleen, when she doesn't have the hammer, you said she'll put the stones in front, or did I miss?
That's right. Yes, that's right. She goes for the steal.
Okay, so that's basically a norm if you're playing skins at your club. That's the thought. Without, you go in. With, you guard, or you put up. You use the free guard zone, in other words.
In skins play, what we're saying is, Vic, that in both ways, stealing or with the hammer, you try and control the front of the house. In this case, Colleen seems to be controlling the front of the house better when she doesn't have the last rock. She's putting the stones out in front. With the hammer, she's playing the more conventional way of bringing stones in the house, looking for one key hit and roll maybe to set up the deuce. But it seems to me, over the years that we've watched the skins, which is a few, you still should go for it. Nice try to squeeze through those 2 guards.
I'll say that was a good shot.
Any reason, do you think, Ray, for why Colleen does that? Why this sort of change in philosophy? Just with one hammer compared to without hammer?
Well, I mean, we talk about this team often, and they are the best women's curling team in the world from an execution point of view in particular. And they play it great as a unit. But they have been, I mean, over the years, Colleen has been, she's leaned to the more defensive side of the game. And you and I both know, and all of us know, that skins is all offense. It's based, you're on the offense all the time. You're trying to get 2 or 3 points, or you're trying to steal points. That's offense. And offense in curling is rocks and play. And so it's
Either one.
when she goes to the skins format, she has to move away a little bit from what she's comfortable with.
Yeah.
But so as Linda said, and I agree, that when she doesn't have last rock, you do try and cover the front, so that she, by reflex, she plays a little bit more aggressively.
That last guard didn't do its job, except that rock over curled. I was going to say, the guards you could over curl a little bit, because then the red would just jam onto yellow. They left Marianne the opening by leaving her the in turn, and it just dropped.
Protected the wrong side. That's hard luck. That just rubbed that.
Ava Lund as we play third stones in this fifth, and it is worth 19 points.
They did cut down the ice for this guard attempt.
She got caught earlier on a stone that changed handle. She has to be very careful, because she sometimes, as the ice gets a little softer, she doesn't put a lot of rotation.
She doesn't have a lot of weight here. It's not going to do the job because it's too long.
4-14.
But you're right, Ray. Sometimes it just stops curling because it has no turn.
Just kind of plowing along. Once again, the wrong side she protected. You could have that one over curl a little bit as opposed to under curl, just light.
Yep.
Kim Kelly feels as if they are, they've opened a door in here, as if they're trying to cool off the building. You feel it too?
Yes.
Hurry! Hurry, hurry, hurry! Whoa, 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 whoa. Try to keep it there. That's a great shot, Kim.
Great shot is right.
So North America, Jones in position now. They're line 3. They need 2 for the skin.
2 missed guards made the huge difference here.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Try to keep it there. That's a great shot, Kim.
No, good.
They're going to try and jostle those yellow stones around and leave this red one in front of them.
Hack. Sorry. Hack, sorry. 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 Hack, sorry. Sorry.
That's a pretty nice shot, Linda.
What I really like about the way Annette plays the skins is she doesn't panic. She looks at a situation, surveys it. In that case, got Ava Stone in a good spot. It can be used. It's a detriment to Colleen to have it there. She just slowly sets it up.
I agree.
The guard. Yeah. Back line.
Yep.
The big problem for Annette this end is that very long guard. Not only did it not cover the stone they were trying to cover, it leaves room for Kim and the rest of Colleen's team to get curl past it.
No, no, don't touch. Right off.
Back line.
Shoot. Go over top of it.
No, you can't do that, Kim. We're getting better.
You have to watch now. There is that jam possibility. If it doesn't come up enough.
That's a great
Wow, wow, wow. The movement, the late movement.
But that was just my point, the long guard. Kim thought it wasn't going to move, but as soon as it hits the hog line, Vic, it starts to go, and there was tons of room by that guard. Colleen had a good call on that. She knew it would move.
Yep.
Kan vända ner.
Ja, tifart.
Jag ska hitta hålet och köra sen.
Annette, vad var det isen skulle vara? Var det kant blåvitt?
Ja.
Vad ska ni ha här då?
Really?
85.
That is a very small hole if you think it's going to be curling by the red one and has to still get by the other yellow in the top of the 8-foot.
Would you not consider the raise on the red? Wow. And at Norberg, her first, looking to steal. Right now, it's Jones with the 19 points in her pocket. Feather the top one. They do. Feather the second one. They do. Can you get all the way in? No. Then the rub and the roll and roll too far.
Just a little bit of a brushing error. They had to hammer that all the way. She threw it very, very well.
That's what I mentioned. As soon as it got by the one stone, you had to make sure you got by the second because it's starting to curl past it. They needed to be a lot closer to that red stone on the right.
Ja, vi kommer ha någon chans i alla fall. TT:n eller knacken eller...
She put the intern freeze to here.
Annette is in trouble here.
How's she going to get in that hole? She just
Great
cleared
record
both.
to this
Come down
point.
This way, don't you think? Just a draw. That's such a long guard. It's really not a factor. She could certainly get to here on that intern, right? Okay.
Yes, she could, Nancy.
What do you guys like?
Nice.
The intern looks nice?
Intern
You know
draw.
what, I'll
to
tell you
right
the
for
nice thing about
Nancy
the
for room.
intern is that then if you bump there, that's
You
great.
have to make
There's still lots of ways in for
I think that
Annette.
out-turn hole's tougher than it looks.
There's draws,
It is.
both
It is.
turns.
Yeah.
There's a raise. You could hit and roll to get in for second shot. You can't block them all, so you pick the one, Ray, that you think is the easiest for her.
Yeah, and you just heard her say, I think the out-turn hole is a tougher shot than this in-turn come around. So she's going to leave her the same. And also, she comes down and she just gets the rub off of the yellow stone that's in the 8-foot. She might come across and block the
you've got
other
very
side.
many options for blocking that
I can do a little split on this one right there, though. Move that one and have this shooter roll back to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you can get right where you need to be.
Well, where are we going here?
I like the
right
out-turn.
Right in around
Right.
that. I don't like the out-turn, Kim. I don't know why. I can't even.
I like the end.
Okay. I really like the end. I think we can
Okay,
get
if you like this,
like
then you...
fight top 8?
Yeah. And what am I throwing? 4.5 here now? Or 4.2?
4-2 to the tee.
Tons of room.
Colleen Jones in her first.
It'll come, don't worry.
Looking good for her
Go.
so far.
Yeah, sure we will. Get there.
19 points.
They talked about 14-2, Vic. That's the seconds between the hog line. We'll have a look.
Would love to get the little whip and roll over and cover the center line as well.
Good shot. She takes it right away from the net. I think the only thing she's got is a hit and roll now on the other side. You can see what happened here. This takes away the hole, so she has to play the hit on that one and try and roll in there.
The key to this is to get in for second shot. She doesn't have to make a double.
That's right.
It's to get in front of the face of the shot stone.
She has to either be the shot or second shot or to make Colleen throw her last one. 19 points. Lindell. Bergstrom now. You can hear Lund calling the line. Did it over curl?
It did.
Spin, roll, sit. Will it sit in time? It does. Wow. Back to the 8-foot for second shot.
That's two very serious brushing errors.
Very big.
The shot before, they could have got to the face, and that shot was made all the way if they brush it.
Now, that is a huge mistake, and I know it's hard. She played the quiet weight, and it breaks hard at the end. But on those, you have to take the chance a little sooner. It would have been absolutely perfect. So they're going behind the shot stone. It leaves Colleen the much easier tap for the skin.
I like the outer one.
Now this is in turn, and we know the story about in turns and out turns. She just threw a similar stone. Is this a potential problem for Colleen?
No, this is a very simple shot. She's just tapping it up. Very disappointing for Annette when you throw those two good stones and have that result.
Those were both brushing errors, serious brushing errors. She threw those rocks very, very well.
Think about her record to date in skins play. She's been perfect, but it looks like this one will go to Colleen Jones.
Weight's good. Little heavy.
Little heavy. Hit it skinny.
Whoa, way out.
Nothing yet.
Hit it
Arsenal on the right. Kim Kelly on the left. Nothing yet. All in its own. Just needs to get a little piece. Just a little piece. Punch it up. Punch it up. Sit, 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 sit. There it is for the 19 points. North America needing 39 to win. Gets almost half. Right there. What a big 19 points that was for North America and Jones, because all they need now is 20. And with 33 points available, you have to suggest that the Europeans must win them all to give Pia Lindholm a chance tonight. Now, this is what they're playing for as well, the cup and the money. The winning team will share $112,500. Now, should the North Americans win this one here and, you know, Colleen close it out, the game tonight, the skins game between Furby and Lindholm, will be worth an additional $25,000. So the cup may be decided, but there's still $25,000 at stake when they hook up tonight. We'll have that for you 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
I guess you know that.
Well, a little series of mistakes by Annette Norberg. The first we've really seen this year. It was the raise in the fourth end, just a little bit too much ice, we think, and couldn't get that skin. And last end, a long guard that didn't protect.
Even though my
And two mistakes on the brushing on Skip Stones, and Colleen had the relatively easy tap for the skin.
You really have to feel a little bit for Annette, because she herself threw both those last two stones absolutely perfectly, and it was just a judgment call on the brushing. I mean, I'm right happy with her last shot. I'm right behind it, and halfway down you can see she had a quarter of the stone. It was perfect, and they were not brushing. They didn't pick it up till about 5 or 6 feet over the hog line, and if they brush that all the way, I'm convinced that she makes that absolutely perfect.
84.
Now it's an absolute must that she wins skins. She cannot give away any more points, or Pia Lindholm will have no chance at all. And he's in tough as it is. He's got Randy Furby and David Dennewood and Huffin and Puffin to play against.
Kom ut på andra sidan eller? Bra fart Anna.
33 points remain on the ice in this game.
Like that way?
20 is all that North America needs. You know, as we saw last year when Randy Furby went to the ice, there's no wiggle room when you've only got a few points to play with. You know, if your opposition says it needs only 10, 12 points, what are you supposed to do? You play for carryovers all the time?
Very tough.
This isn't good. Pretty good weight.
Frysa. Ja.
Once again here, the team of Annette Norberg will look to score the two. They have the hammer, the 9 points available here in 6.
Jag tror inte vi har så mycket marginal.
She's a very patient lady. It's a good call.
A lot of people would go up and raise, or rather tap back that stone and roll over, but just playing the freeze, knowing that if you do this too early, Colleen may have chances to get a play at it. If you get it to the face, a pretty good freeze, you can move anything onto it and get rid of the shot stone behind it.
Very nice shot.
Sit in that pocket, hey? We could guard. Well, they're sitting too.
You want to guard it up or jiggle?
I think it's all we got.
What if we come right in,
got this
though?
double.
Because then we can use ours. I think coming in smart, guys.
If you come
Is the 2 yellows a gimme double?
What about
How's this double on the
It's
yellow
tough.
look?
What about coming right in on top of them?
But then she just bumps it too.
Well, then we bump them.
All right.
I think guard might be too early.
Yeah. Well, problem there is that then she smacks, and then,
But then we do.
They're sitting too.
But then we smack.
Yeah, but then they've got the, you know, and then should we still sitting a couple? I don't mind the guard.
Tight guard, though.
Okay, tight guard, then we can use
Because then we can use it if she...
Right, tight guards.
Good.
Room.
Yep.
Well, if you can, let it curl.
We're tight. How's our line?
Line's getting better.
Okay. We're.
Whoa, you got lots of weight there.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa, Nance. Whoa, don't want it too tight.
That's a great shot, Marianne. Great shot.
Nice shot.
The NFL on TSN tonight. Linda, you may as well do this.
Well, it's the Broncos playing somebody else.
Oakland. The Oakland Raiders and the Broncos, 8:30 Eastern.
7-3, you say they are, eh?
You betcha.
Pretty good record.
Nej, men alltså skjutningen på den främre gula.
Ja, det är den jag funderar på.
En chapp.
Va?
En chapp på den.
Ja, det måste ta lite insida, för chappen tar vi bara... Då åker vår egen.
Aha.
You should come across the face of that and just hit that a little bit on the center line side. A lot of good things can happen if you just come across the face of that one a little bit.
Då så får vi hoppas att vår blir kvar här
Sit in
nere.
this area right there. You might even catch this stone over here.
Ska...
You definitely have to play that one. You don't want to hit it on the outside. You want to hit it come across the face.
She was outside, so they're playing a plan B shot. It was a good call because it was not a good throw. Just a little bit outside by Catherine.
But the double is now there for Colleen. You had to hit it on the other side. That's the first real big mistake on that one. Because you could cheat on the other side a bit, Linda. You had lots of room on the other side.
Bra försök.
Heel! Yep! Whoa! Whoa! No! Whoa! No! Whoa! No, 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 no. Little more, little more, little more, little more, little more.
That's enough. Don't need no more.
It would have been embarrassing to miss that because you could hit it anywhere.
It was an easy double, Kim. You're right. A good throw.
Threw it funny, a little in-out, slid tight.
You were mid-course correcting.
Yes, I was correcting and talking. Too bad I threw it last.
That's not easy.
What did Kim say yesterday? Did you hear me screaming and
having kittens?
Having kittens. Yep.
Trycker till! Trycker till!
Eva Lund.
Trycker till! Gärna!
Kolla!
Trycker till! Nej!
Kolla!
Nej!
Kommer nu!
Ja! Ja!
Playing the bump.
Ja! Ja! Är det bra? Bra.
Just not quite getting the angles they want on those.
Vad sa du?
Does leave the shooter out in front to be used, though.
Well, she had those stones in such a good spot. And then with that miscue on the center line hit, changed the whole end around.
Watch the back. Your back. That isn't curly this time at all.
You know, it looks all the more like that number 3 rock was cutting on her.
Pardon me?
It looks all the more now like that 3 rock was moving on her.
Ska vi rulla in på den?
Ja, tycker jag vi gör.
Nice to stay
Va?
right
Ja, gör den.
Den?
Ja.
10 då?
10.
Ja.
10.
10.
Ja.
They're trying to maneuver in behind cover. They don't want to use that red stone out in front yet. Annette's leaving that in case she needs it. So the best way they feel is to play the hit and roll, but you've got to get a good roll on
I
this.
think I'd be drawing around it, though.
Is, What I was about to say is if you don't get the roll, Ray, it's just going to sit in the open and not do you any good. And that's why you might want to try that straight draw. Because this is a tricky little spot. It seems to be running straight now.
10-8.
11.
Bra försök.
And the interesting thing is at the beginning of the game, that's what Annette was doing so well. She was playing either just a little rub shot or a draw.
Anything right there is good.
Yeah. Top
Right,
four. I think
yeah,
right to
four's
four.
perfect.
Yeah. Not too deep in the four. She played the run back.
Where is it? I don't quite get how all those knots can work. Jag tänkte vi skulle lämna den där till dig. Men som jag hade kunnat hästa på dig. Yeah, because that one didn't want to move a muscle.
No. Okay, I'm drawing here, you guys.
Okay.
They're number 2.
They're number 2?
They're number 2, but in order for us to get hit low, we're jamming on the back when I'm possibly still leaving them.
Yeah, I like the draw.
First of the skip stones here in the 6th. Colleen Jones looking to steal the skin. 9 points available.
Line only.
North America needing just 20 now to clinch the cup.
Yeah, we'll try to wick.
Hey, whoa, it's yeah.
Whoa,
Need the rub. Need the rub.
Yep,
Rub, need the rub.
Yep. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Quick. Hard over
Need the
there.
rub.
Hard.
And they've got the rub.
In position, but now there is an opportunity to make the run back. Yeah, it's maybe even a little easier now.
Ja, ja. Jag ser.
There's a couple things that can happen. You can hit it.
Skjut i dubben.
You could hit this one back obviously onto that. Go that way, or you can hit it back onto that.
And at Norberg.
Yep.
Run back double.
Double it up. Hey.
Bergstrom. Linder. Lund. 1, 2.
It's a great shot. Now she lies 2.
Must have points now for Europe.
I love the way she throws them.
Yeah, she does throw mechanically so sound.
She's got the great balance. She throws from her balance, but she sets up really well. She has a very positive grip and a clean release. She makes that nice transfer of weight to her back foot so she can really jump out of the hack.
Roll the shooter all the way over there.
All the way over to them?
Colleen can see a corner of this.
Ooh, careful. Careful now.
That ice is slippery.
Funny. I threw mine a little in out here, so that ice looks great.
Yeah.
Firm.
Whoa. Is there a double, Nan?
No, never.
Whoa.
Double?
No, not moving at all.
No, we got nothing. Little off.
Yep.
Oh, my.
That's the skin on that miss.
That's all right.
Went by everything.
The firm there won't move, I guess.
That's a little uncharacteristic of that kind of weight from her.
Very
Am I wrong
much
in
so.
saying that?
No, it's very much like the one in the second end. We said
Yeah.
exactly the same thing.
And you want to throw it up. You don't want to maybe baby it, but I mean, she's been buzzing those down there. Oh. We just talked about her delivery. She almost fell over.
As she'll throw it through to stop the clock. She has her 2 points. Nancy Delahunt confirms 9 points will go to Europe. Twice in the game now. She's thrown the up weight and flashed both times. Norberg keeps the Europeans alive. Pyramids look like it. I mean, they're Christmas trees. The holidays begin with Egypt Week on the Discovery Channel, December the 5th at 9 Eastern Time.
Yep. Line's fine. Yep. Hard line.
Wait, sir.
Okay, whoa. Where's
Wait
where?
only. Line's great.
Line's great. Yep.
Line's
Perfect.
Wait
Hard.
only.
Right up.
So that's a very important
Right up. Hard.
pickup for the Europeans in Norberg as they get the 9 points. The 7th is worth 11. And once again, if you're in at Norberg, all you want to do is win them all. You can't give any more points to Colleen Jones in North America. They still just need 20. You want to give Pia Lindholm a chance.
If you look at Annette Norberg over this game and last year, she is very impressive in skins. We've already said they've made a few mistakes, and obviously the big mistakes came on the end where they misbrushed both of the skip stones. But in general, she has played a tremendous game. That last shot of hers, not the throw through, obviously the double, was fantastic.
No, I think she's personally curled fantastic. You're right.
So 33 points remaining in this game.
Do we like that?
Yeah, I
Norberg
kind of like
could
that. I
give
think I
up
could get
one.
there.
Yeah, it'll come.
One end, but not both.
Got room.
Did I blow my math again?
Guys, you should have
Man,
some right
it's 24 points remaining. Sorry.
Not a lot for the bump.
Needs a little.
Was it the dead silence over here that kind of tipped you off? Or the fact that we both spun and looked at the wall?
That's right. You both turned away from me. We're not with him.
Oh, poor Vic. That's a lot of points this
I
week.
may have had like a little trouble with grade 10 French, but I don't know how you got through junior high.
So 24 points. I'm sorry. Remaining.
I'll tell you one thing though, Vic. When it comes to actual money in cash,
I know what I've got.
you know what you got.
Maybe that's what we should do. We'll put a dollar sign in front of them.
Yeah, maybe you better. That may be easier.
I've never seen you make a mistake in a restaurant.
Can't see a lot of that red stone. And that is wide. Needs to come over to catch the red onto yellow.
Annette, den där var i väggen.
She got a better result out of that than she actually deserved, Linda, because she didn't throw it out very well.
Quarter. Forward weight. If you open it, you're great.
Yeah.
Colleen looks quite happy to play this wide open. Try for the deuce, playing hits. If it doesn't work, go for the carryover.
They said if they can't sneak it by, open it up. But they do get it by. Nice brushing by
Great squeeze, you guys.
Kim Kelly and Nancy Delahunt.
That was sneaky. What a sneaky.
Leaned on her.
Tjappa den, Annette. Tjappa den gula.
Den här ja.
Ja.
Det är helt okej att vicka ut lite också.
Ja, ganska bra. Ja. Vågar hon lämna den då?
Va?
Om vi tjappar den, då kommer ju nästa sten komma utanför bot, eller hur?
Ja, men jag sa att det gör ingenting om vi vickar hit lite.
Nej.
De kommer inte kunna slå på insidan då, för då sitter den ner här. Ja, vi spelar på chappen.
You have to be a little careful that this wide open play by Colleen doesn't lull you as Annette Norberg into the same style. Annette has played so well by closing down ends. You could draw around the red stone and yellow. freeze to the face of the yellow, complicate it up a little bit for Colleen.
Yeah, the outturn draw this way looks like it might be the right shot as far as I'm concerned. Round with a long center guard.
If you ever happen to chip off that guard, you're losing your only advantage.
Vi öppnar då. Hur mycket i?
That's perfect for Colleen. Yeah, the outturn draw, I think, was the right shot there around the two of them.
Top 8.
Little light. Kim Kelly, Nancy Dillahunt jump all over it.
Right T line.
No, it's my feet a bit.
Yeah. Right up.
Right up.
Get it to the rings. Pauline Jones as well. Can they get it there? No, they can't.
Well, now you can play this, try and play this end out to try and get the carryover, Linda. If I was in that.
Linda, take me through the thought process here, the shot process to do what Ray suggested.
Well, for Annette, if she wants to try and get out of this end, she needs to set up a double. She needs to position the rocks. It doesn't look like she'll go for it here, but position the rocks so she has something to work with to try and set up a double or some sort of hit and roll at least to get out of trouble. This wide open end is exactly what Colleen wants, so Annette's going to have to make a good shot somewhere in this end to get out of trouble. She's a little outside. They're going for the double now.
One. Enough? Yes.
Well, she's got a few bad breaks in this game, but she just got a good one. Still a chance to tuck behind the corner guard, though.
That was a big thank you to the skip because Ava was wide and the skipper called it just right.
Go for line.
Kim Kelly trying to go around those two wide guards.
Right up.
Guys, hard. Hurry. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Well, you're on the front.
No, that's not going to go.
Same weight.
Now a chance
Slow there.
for the Europeans in Norberg to get around. Boy, two shots and at the end it's just turned around.
That's for sure.
The players have to remember the ice is a little different going away than coming home, a little heavier this end. You can't just let it go and let the brushers carry it.
Bakom team.
Upp då, upp, upp, upp!
Bakom team.
Team!
Team.
Framkant flott! Team! Med! Framkant flott!
Took a lot of ice. Needed to break off center line.
Du har knappt hänger.
Ja! 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 Ja!
It didn't get buried, but it does the job, I think. I don't think she can get the roll. Well, maybe she can get a little bit of a roll.
You know,
maybe
think you can stay there with board?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You want regular hair.
Just board. Yep.
Hard then.
Hurry. Hurry hard.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yep. Whoa.
Whoa, whoa.
Sits right there, Kim Kelly.
I know it's a long shot. This intern of hers is where she missed that in the regular game. You never know.
That curled more predictably. Spelade väldigt mjukt nu.
Colleen picking up on something from the game that they played in team competition.
That's right. She saw a rock that Annette threw over curl on an in turn. And generally speaking, Annette doesn't miss many shots. So I guess if you're going to find a little weakness, Vic, you might try and play it up. That's why they tried to stick there and not roll over. Make it a little harder for Annette to make the hit herself.
This will be the first for Annette Norberg. What's she trying to do here, Ray?
She's trying to hit and roll across the other side, Vic.
Pretty good looking throw on that one.
She wanted to roll a little further over it, maybe could have brushed that a little bit more. It allows Colleen a chance to hit and roll behind the corner guards, and the corner guards are perfect for Colleen because they're overlapped. There's no run back.
Yeah, that's a tough shot, but you're right.
You could come around yourself, ignore it.
Where's the hit and roll?
Whatever you like.
Well, I think if you bury there perfectly, it's great.
Yeah.
But then she's definitely playing that.
Or
Got a couple
draw around or
choices. You could hear them talking.
Okay.
Go there.
What do you guys like, this or this?
That's what you like. Either one. It's fine.
That's one choice. Or you can play the hit of that and try and roll.
It's a question of, you know, you're going to leave it
There.
just clearly or the straight
Yeah.
draw. She might even draw back here, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to be forced to one.
The only thing, and I think back to Ava Lund's last stone limit, it didn't bury. Now, was that a case of not having the weight or the ice, or is it not moving to the towards the 12 foot?
No, I think they'll get it to move here, Vic. I think it's a good spot to try and bury.
She bumps if
She bumps.
So you play.
We make the perfect come around. She makes the perfect
A
bump.
very interested bystander as Annette tries to capture these
yeah, and
last
do we
few
need
points.
to gamble like that?
Hey,
Well, we
Lindholm
wouldn't have Hammer
hoping
coming
that
home as
tonight
the
he'll still have a chance to
Whereas
win the
if she
cup.
does bump and if I miss
He
the
knows that he
double,
will be playing for
we would have
$25,000
Hammer
too.
coming home, and I assume there's more points in the last at stake.
Yeah. You assume.
Yeah. So this is a gamble to try to get the two. Hope she doesn't make the bump perfect, and if she does make the perfect,
We throw out the double.
what do you guys think? Because the hit and roll's there too, but then
We like what you like.
I like them
that-
both.
Yeah.
And you know the weight's slower in this spot.
so you think the hit and roll is going to be the more makeable
That's
shot?
the only
Well,
thing is the
it's-
weight in this
the
spot
weight
is
heavier.
you
Like
have to
about half
trust and
second.
throw a 4. And then we've thrown a couple on the path, so now I don't know.
Okay. Play the hit and roll, Nance.
That's the only guessing thing that might.
You heard the discussion.
Okay, I'll try to throw a 9.5 for you.
Okay. Regular?
Yep. Yep. Hard. Hurry. Whoa.
Jones in her first.
Hard. Hurry. Hard. Hurry hard. Hurry, 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 hurry.
Hit and doesn't get the roll.
Good job. Good job.
Sweet.
A look of frustration.
Nice throw, Colleen.
Vad spelar vi för fart, Annette? 9,5.
One thing you do have to remember at this stage of the game, if the draw weight's getting a little sticky, it's harder to roll in the houses as well. So Colleen probably threw that pretty well, but it curled it a bit more and the roll's tougher.
Ja då.
Är Chappen vinner då eller? Vilken fart ska du ha?
Ner den. Bra.
Looking for a little flip as well.
Japp. Nej.
She'd like to get a little roll there.
Japp. Japp. Nej. Nej.
Bra Annette, pröva.
And she'll roll it full 12 foot.
Bra spelat.
How just jam.
Medicine Hat has really done a wonderful job with this event. I mean, it's been a full house all the 4 days we've been here.
You want to have Hammer coming home?
Yeah, sold out, Ray.
You know what, Colleen?
4,000 this arena seats. Congratulations to Des Grant and the organizers, some 300 volunteers.
But we'll have 2 chances to take the last skin because we have the hammer, plus we have the draw to the button if we want to just carry it over.
And look at how great that end was setting
We
up.
can force the single next end.
I think force the single. I don't want to give it up.
I like giving it up.
I like giving it up too.
I want both points.
Yeah, but the thing is, both points is a lot easier for her with the hammer coming home.
I really like giving it up, Nance.
Okay.
They're going to
give away the
I'm
skin.
not coming around. Look at how good this end was
hold
looking
the last
until we
rock.
came light over there.
We've seen it before.
We have.
We've seen it for big dollars.
What
I
do you
remember that
think?
day because Vic almost passed out.
We've got lots of time now, so let's make
Kevin
the best
Martin,
decision.
what did he give away, 10,000
Down
or
one,
something?
coming home with the
I
hammer.
remember that.
Think about it.
True, but I think
as opposed to her, who's made a lot of pistols, giving her last rock advantage.
Yeah, I think we've set it up either way, you know. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I like your gut.
I
feeling
like
is what I like
having hammer
Okay,
coming
let's
home,
go.
making the shot.
There you go. I thought they were talking about blanking it, but of course you still forfeit the hammer if you blank it, but it's talking about giving the skin away. And you can't go to your captain at Lukowicz or your bench to ask the question. You just have to do what you think is best. And she is right. There's a lot of points at stake.
Yeah, but you as Jones and this team have a chance to win the cup right now. You're giving away these points, meaning you cannot clinch the cup. You're going to give it to Furby to clinch tonight.
That's her decision, correct.
That's the decision she's made.
Don't understand. Interesting thought process here. So the points go to Europe and Norberg, and this man, Randy Furby, he will try to win the cup tonight. Paya Lindholm, Randy Furby. That's what's ahead. 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific tonight. And the championship, the cup, will still be on the line. Kathy is with Paya. Kathy, ask him if he's surprised at the little turn of events here.
Well, we've actually had a little chat about that, Victor. Just talking about that last shot that Colleen played, your thoughts on her throwing it through and conceding the skin?
I was a little bit surprised because if they had a carryover and were stealing in the last one, they would have more than 201 points. And then North America would have been beating us. But of course, no matter how it will be, it's going to be tough for us to win the Continental now, that's for sure.
Talk to us about how you will play that game, Paya, knowing that you need so many points.
Well, we don't really know at the moment. Depends on the last skin here. But, I mean, now there's a lot of money just for the last game, too. So I would say we're going out there, play aggressive, and just as a regular skins game.
We look forward to that. Good luck.
Thank you.
So Randy Furby knows that at least he will be the one to possibly clinch the cup. This place was buzzing when she threw it through. And I know you think she did the right thing here. Or
Well,
you agree with the thought process.
We've seen it before many times. What her thought process was, I want to control this end. I want the last rock to control the end. If I make my last rock and I have to go to a shootout, I'll make that one too.
Lite mindre på den här tröga stenen, tror jag. Ja. Jag får lite mindre.
Paya makes a good point. If she goes to the carryover and gets the carryover, then they are playing that last end, and she can end it. But we said earlier too, that we felt that maybe Colleen was a little more comfortable trying to steal points. So
Yeah, I thought
that's
maybe
why it surprised me that she did that, to be honest with you. But
Exactly. I thought maybe she would put up the guards and go for the steal in the 8th end, but
it's not new, Vic. We've seen it a couple times.
No, granted. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that you have a chance to win the cup here. You have a chance to you have a chance to win it.
And it is a little different than in traditional skins play that we see. You must, in the cases we've seen it, win the last end to win the whole thing. There's still another game to come. So this is still jockeying for position and trying to get as many points as you can for your team.
Hard! Hurry! Hard line, hard! Right out! Hard! Right up! Roll your shooter! Hard! Open it
little shy, eh?
Guess.
It was quite interesting too, because when there was only the 2 stones in the house, Annette Norberg took a moment to decide if she would hit and force the carryover and go to the draw to the button, or if she would try for this steal. And she has opted now to put up the guards and try for the steal.
Yeah, she took a little time, you're right, Linda, to decide, well, I can play this wide open and go to the draw to the button.
82. Lite bromsad. Ja, lite bromsad.
Ja, pengar.
Nej då, nej då.
Hoppas att ni...
Ja! Ja! Evelina ska det! Kom igen!
Kom igen!
Kom igen! Öka!
Kom igen! Kom igen!
Bra. Hon tog en
Catherine
bromsaren
Lindahl
själv.
with the
Hon tog en
guard.
bromsaren. 82 hade hon nämligen.
You're going to run it back into it, Colleen? Sure.
Norberg
okay.
is lying the shot stone, the steal
I'll
point.
play the run back, but if you open it up, that's fine. Hard. Yep, hard. Real hard. Hard! Hurry, 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 hurry!
Over the top. Let's find out what Captain Ned Lukovich thought of that move to end the 7th. Kathy?
Ed, I think there'll be discussions for some time about Colleen's call. Your thoughts on it?
Well, I guess we'll know in a few minutes whether or not it was the right call or not. The team has been playing very, very well with the hammer. They've been setting up ends well, and that was what Colleen said during the break, that they really felt that, they were setting up the ends well. They were getting control, so they really felt good with the hammer, although Colleen has missed it a couple times, too, by overthrowing shots. But what a tough decision. It's not like your normal money skins game where the dollars you may be tossing away in the 9th inning are your own. This is one where it's team points, 11 points hit out the window there. So, yeah, I think it was a very tough decision for her to make.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Lite lång, Annette.
Jo!
They were trying for the rub to take some of the speed off that stone, but couldn't quite get it.
Hade du? 82.
She wants to control. She has to make her move now. She's going to get her 2 points. Marianne has made a lot of shots. She always does, but she's made a lot of good shots today. She needs a nice come around here to the top of the 4-foot.
Lots of weight.
Should be all there.
Lots of weight. Easy,
Anything
easy.
but heavy.
It's close.
Whoa.
Where's the weight? It's
Whoa,
all
better
there.
curl.
Okay, line's getting better. Line's getting a little better.
Coming down.
Not yet, though.
How's line?
Whoa, if you can.
Just
Yep,
gonna be kind of
go.
wide open,
Yep.
eh? Okay, that's good, Mary. Great weight.
Great weight is right. Just didn't move for her.
It was curling harder there.
Second bend as well.
Yes, it was.
Kom upp på den då.
Ja.
Tryck ner den hit.
Play it quietly.
Dryg bakkant.
Yes.
Bakkant.
Got to be a little careful. They don't throw more than that back line weight, because it will run straight if you just step it up a little too much.
They've even had trouble with draws this end, not coming off that red stone.
She's got a lot of ice.
Bakkant vitt.
Ava Lund, as we play third stones here in this 8th, it's worth 13 points.
Bak vitt bara. Bak vitt. Bak rätt. Egen Anna.
What a good-looking shot.
Kom igen. Lite till då. Lite till då. Lite till. Öka. Bra Eva. Ja, det är bra.
Didn't get that one quite far enough out.
Bra Eva.
Just had to go another few inches. Second shot is the
Well, there's a couple
Yellowstone at the
options.
back.
There's this,
Okay.
and there's this.
Either or.
What?
Is the double there? Want to go look at it, Kim?
Yeah.
I think we've got lots to do. So if we play that run back.
Oh, I like the double. You do? Okay, it's pretty thin, eh?
Even in the hot shots.
An out turn there. What?
Third?
Yeah.
Playing the out turn.
Are we playing a out turn? Out turn. Okay. Best to get the turn down.
It's important to, yeah. You can see how straight it is. They are playing the out turn.
Yeah.
Expected to run completely straight, but it was important to get that yellow one tapped back a little further, so the redstone at the back was going to be second shot if they made this.
No. Whoa. Whoa. Get up. Okay. Okay, Kim.
Over the top, shot stone, steel point still belongs to Norberg in Europe.
Vi käppar de där bakstenarna.
Ja. Normal.
Yeah, if they'd moved that, if it just had pushed it further the last time, they wouldn't have to do this. They could be playing another offensive shot. But
Ska det vara 9 och 7?
Yep.
Colleen needs 2 by her own choice, by holding the hammer to win that skin. It was really interesting. The crowd really went silent when she threw that rock through. The whole building was.
I'm not sure they quite understood at the time.
Ligger bra. Ligger bra.
Trot in?
Yeah. Just regular, Colleen?
Heel.
Do you think it'll curl that much? Okay.
Yeah, that's good, Kim.
Tightened it up just a little bit. Looking at the run back, Kim Keller.
Yep. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
You skips don't want to give much ice, do you? Eh? You put it
Pretty
down.
stingy.
My goodness.
There we go.
Come up and runs it by.
All right. Okay.
Might have stayed for third shot. Very close at the back.
Pretty close, yeah.
Tapping it back.
Yeah. What do you think of her in terms of her decision making, Norberg? She's pretty decisive, isn't she? She really has a handle on it.
I think she skipped a pretty nice game.
The mistakes have come on brushing calls as much as anything.
Yeah, in the conventional curling game, and I really think that they've outcurled Colleen's team, and she's played well, played very well, and 2 serious brushing errors. And even the skin that Colleen won, there was a shot that turned the whole end around. Out-turn hit that you could not be wide on.
Annette Norberg in her first.
Gärna. Nej, lite kort.
If we carry over, we'll have a draw to the button to determine who wins the final 13 points.
Perfekt fart. Nej! Säger det var lite lång. Bra. Lite lång. Lite lång. Bra, Annette.
It was a good communication because that was a little bit too strong from the shot she called, so they were trying to chip it a little more on the outside to drag some of the speed off the raise.
Jag tänkte jag skulle ta det lite snyggare.
This is a good chance for Colleen, though, to get in now. She threw that skin away because she wanted to control this game, and she now has a chance to do so by getting down here.
Need a chunk of the 4.
Yep.
Right in there. And make Annette Norberg's last shot at this end very difficult. This is why she threw it through, so she could try and control this end.
Colleen Jones in her first.
Where? All there.
A lot.
All there.
Back line.
Okay.
Boy, a little hot then.
Yeah, go, yeah.
Gonna need the rub. You hear the secondary call from Nancy Delahunt, looking for a little rub maybe to take some steam out of this. Kelly Arsenault Can you get a little rub on it? Yes, there's the rub. Redirect. Yes, it'll sit in time. Good call, Nancy Delahunt.
It was a good call, but very, very fortunate. I mean, she threw backline weight there. That was not draw weight. I mean,
oh, those are scary to call because you think it's just going to curl by the
This was very fortunate. It looked like it was still going to overcurl even with the brushing, but they held it enough to get the little chip. And it is shot stone.
She's just guarding that bit.
And now Norberg goes where? Thank you.
Yep.
Right down on the corner.
This is definitely one of those you have to hand to the brushers. Even if it stopped a little bit short, say top 8, Colleen would have trouble getting the second point.
yeah, if you just get it around that across the center line, just if you just bite the top of the forefoot, even if you're not shot, that second point's going to be hard for Colleen to find. But at least you got the shootout. And that's what she said in her conversation was, if I don't get her 2, I want the last rock to control.
So she gives it to her brushers. Lindahl on the left, Bergstrom on the right. Have not had the best of days. Trying to make one now for the skipper. Need to sneak it around that stone. Top edge, the 8. Oh my, they saved one for her there. When they were needed, they were there for the skipper.
It looked like they might have left it a moment too long to get by that rock, but great brushing. This is just going sideways as it crosses the hog line and just past the yellow stone.
Wow.
No, I don't know about that. That's too risky, Nance. Take your one and go to the button.
What are you thinking about? Bing, bing, bing?
That's too risky. It looks like it.
Is that what you're looking at?
Possible.
Well, not overly big, Marianne.
Well,
do you think I have to throw it big?
Oh, to get rid of them all. Oh, but
this will jam
that.
here.
what are you thinking about here?
Yeah.
Hit it. Yes. Is that what you're thinking?
Nancy's thinking of this.
Okay.
I don't know. If you could hit this straight, great. I didn't think you could.
No,
see
no,
half of
no,
it.
you
No,
can't.
you can't hit it straight.
No.
But if you could hit it hard enough, do you think
No,
it'll go?
if you hit it on this side.
No, you
Just
only
stay
have
it.
You
half.
can't see enough of it to hit it anywhere near where you need to hit
So
it.
where does that leave? What's my shot? Simply right there?
Well, the bumper back a little.
Yeah.
Right here, like
Yeah,
on this
this room.
thing.
Yeah, you can
bumper
come
back.
into her.
I'd say that's your shot.
Yeah, as long as I stay on this side, Nance.
Yeah.
Keep it on this side of the... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to remember why Colleen took the hammer this end. She said, if I'm not going to get the deuce, I want a shot with my last one for the carryover to take it to the draw to the button. I want to try and earn the points for Team North America. Annette has put her in a very tough spot, but at this point, I agree with the team. Don't play something, the double angle kind of thing. Don't try and blast it. Stay with your word. If it's a tough one, I want to be able to make the draw to go to the shootout.
She wanted to
I think I need to
control
hear
the
last
end
net.
by having last rock. Look for a moment there. She had set it up for 2. She got a little lucky break on her first one, but Annette just came up with a great shot, and now she has the chance. Colleen has the chance now to get to the shootout.
So drawing down to the face.
Where?
To score the one.
Last time. Whoa,
Little less.
13 points
Whoa,
available.
Needs the line.
Getting better.
No, no.
Whoa. Clean.
Again, waiting for this stone to make its late movement.
No.
She wanted this opportunity.
Heavy.
Gonna roll off it. Will it spill too far? Looks like it has. It will be the steal of the 13 points for Europe and Annette Norberg. And for the Europeans, and looking ahead to tonight's game, Pale Lindholm is saying thank you very much. And now, Randy Furby, it's all on your shoulders. You want to win this Continental Cup.
The 2004 Continental Cup of Curling on TSN is brought to you in part by Robax Platinum, helping you walk away from back pain. And by Radio Shack, just around the corner.
Well, here we are in this situation, and interesting as it is, it's still 20 points all North America needs. But think of this. Today, Europe wins 41-19. Norberg over Jones. If tonight, Lindholm beats Furby 41-19, they'd be dead even at 200 points apiece. And then what would we do? We would draw to the button for this year's Continental Cup. 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. Whose team will have their names engraved on this year's trophy? So till we talk with you again at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time, on behalf of Linda, Ray, Kathy, and our entire crew, thanks for joining us here in the Hat on Canada's sports leader, TSN.